Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Babbling Irons video. Myself and Mike today. A really interesting one. We've spoken about Ben Johnson a lot recently on the channel, and it seems to be the pendulum swings from one game to the other, and it really is strange as to what's happening. Obviously, he's out of contract in the summer. He got back into the team. He's playing centre mid. He's playing right wing. He's playing anywhere possible. He's come out with quotes like, "I don't care where I play as long as I'm playing." Loves West Ham. Wants to stay at West Ham, but now he just can't get minutes again. I mean, he's been kind of shunned out again when Cresswell came in against Freiburg, when Emerson went off injured. Obviously, Cresswell then stayed in the team for the Burnley match at the weekend. And now it's a situation as to what is happening with Ben Johnson, because it's an academy graduate. He's still only 24 years old. He's banked a lot of minutes at West Ham, but that came very early on in his career. And in the last couple of seasons, he just hasn't had a sniff. And, you know, his performances did drop off, but I think recently when he came back into the side, people were pleasantly surprised by what Ben Johnson was producing, whether that was from central midfield, right wing, defense. He was really playing well. So what's happened, Mike? Why has he now been shunned out again? What's gone on there?
I don't know, but I saw it said it somewhere else, and I kind of believe is that when you look at Ben Johnson and the contract he apparently wants, which is it's meant to be around 50k a week, and he's not getting that. Even 50k makes him one of the lowest paid players in our first team,
Yeah,
and arguably we played Ryan Fredericks, that I think is a far better player than Ryan Fredericks. But we played Ryan Fredericks as kind of as an example, and it seems that we punish those from within because of the deal that we once did with Reece Oxford. It seems
yeah,
to be the bar or the yardstick we measure all players for. Even Declan Rice was punished for at one point, and also talks about being greedy when he wasn't signing a contract at first by
yeah,
the usual stooges. And it's a consistent theme within West Ham is that youth players equals bad when it comes to contracts,
yeah,
and if they have claims which they or want you know a, a wage that reflects maybe their potential, their talent, or even just to compensate for the fact that they're not playing but they want to be part of the squad,
yeah,
we won't pay it. The other stupid part about it is the fact that we're not paying it, but it's also a bit of a false economy because we then have to go and pay a transfer fee for the player to replace them, probably paying triple, if not quadruple, the wages that youth player was on, plus
yeah,
signing fees, plus agent fees. And it's like, well, actually, that probably would have covered the entire duration of his contract. And that's what I feel like it
yeah,
is with Ben Johnson. And it also feels maybe a touch like, because he's not signing a contract, it's also kind of a potential strong arm in him of, well, if you're going to commit to
yeah,
us, then I can give you more minutes. But as you're not committing, I can't really give you minutes, which does fall on itself when you look at the likes of Cresswell getting some game time, but there is no logical reason for Ben Johnson not to be playing, especially when in that Europa League tournament, 2 seasons back now, where that was arguably some of the best football we've seen our team play. Ben
yeah,
Johnson was a huge part of that, whether it be right back or left back, but he was
yeah.
a massive part of that team. And the game against Leon, he was a huge contributing factor.
Hmm.
And it's odd that we've got to this point where we have a young player wants to stay. Yes, he's asking for more money than say what Soufal's on, but again, that's not Ben Johnson's fault.
Yeah.
That he has the smarts to say, well, I want this much money because this is about an average player in
I
a West
mean,
Ham squad.
yeah, I
And
mean, looking at we don't know the exact finances behind things, but looking at this source, it says that Ben Johnson is currently on around £20,000 a week as his base salary, and you compare that to Aaron Cresswell, who is currently on 50,000. So again, what Ben Johnson's asking for there isn't out of pocket, and I think as well an important point to note here is he's not a youth player anymore. He's 24 years old. He's played a lot of games for the club. He's played over 60 appearances in the Premier League for West Ham. And it just seems to be that he's been shunned out. And again, like you mentioned, it's going to cost us 5, 10 times the amount to recruit someone to replace him. And he's also homegrown. It's something that we need to be very careful of this summer, because we're going to have a lot of players leaving, whether that's Cresswell, whether that's Ogbonna, whether that's some of the star players like Paqueta, etc. So there's going to be a lot to do in the summer, and keeping Ben Johnson might be one of the smartest things we can actually do, and getting him tied down because he's also a very, very versatile player. We've seen that, and he can play and operate in many different positions across the pitch. Obviously, his best positions are fullback at the moment, but he's got that. He's got something that a lot of our players don't have, and I think he's shown that recently in a couple of fixtures. That just that composure, just that willingness to the drive of the ball. He's obviously very comfortable with both feet, which again is very rare in the modern game to see that, to see a player that's comfortable both left and right. So are you surprised that in the last couple of games, Creswell has started over him, who has publicly said he wanted to leave? He obviously had the thing in the summer, and it looks like he's probably going to be going in the summer anyway. What is Moyes' thinking behind bringing in Creswell in that situation?
I think his thinking is it's an experienced player.
Experience? Yeah.
We're at the tail end of a season, and he believes that he can lean on him to give him something down the left that he doesn't get in Johnson, because Johnson's obviously going to want to come more inside onto his right foot than maybe getting down on the outside, which in actual fact, we've seen him be a far better attacker on the left-hand side at left back than he has been at right back in recent seasons. To be honest, there's no real rhyme or reason to why he's playing Creswell. Creswell's been a fantastic and magnificent servant over the years. However, the last 2 to 3 years, if we're being brutally honest, if we had a cutthroat management both in the dugout and at the board level, he
Yeah.
would have been cut and
Yeah.
sold, and we'd have had someone else in. And in fact, he probably would have been sooner than that. And that's no disrespect to Creswell. It's just the nature of football. It just is that way sometimes. But it's I can't see a logical reason for him to be there other than he's an experienced head that he used to lean upon,
Yeah.
and whatever their differences were at the start of the season, because obviously he didn't come in really at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
feature really at all. That seems to have kind of dissipated. And now we're in the business end. Moyes obviously feels that he needs some, I guess, more seasoned heads, and I think also because of the pressure Moyes is under as well, he's
Mhm.
going back to, for lack of a better term, the old
Old
faithful.
reliable.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like that. This was a player that I've always relied on in the past. I'm going to do it now. Do it again. But lightning doesn't always strike twice, right? And I think this is the
Yeah.
case with Creswell. He'll put in a shift, but
I think I
it's
think it's
no more than what we've
surprising.
seen from other players.
Yeah, I think it's surprising as well because obviously Ben Johnson's best success has actually come under David Moyes, and he's actually repaid a lot of that faith back into the manager. So I am surprised, especially given Ben Johnson's recent cameo appearances. I think he definitely deserved to play. It'll be interesting to see if Moyes sticks with Cresswell at left back for the Freiburg second leg on Thursday, or if he does go with Ben Johnson for that game. That will be kind of a telling situation for me as to whether Ben Johnson in David Moyes' eyes, has a future at this football club. I just think from a footballing perspective, it would be really disappointing to let this one go because I think Ben Johnson's capable of going to another Premier League team and being a fantastic signing, especially on a free transfer as well. There'll be a lot of clubs be circulating, wanting him to sign. So, how do you see this one kind of panning out, Mike? Do you think it will get resolved? Do you think we'll get it over the line and the contract sorted with maybe a longer term vision of past David Moyes in the summer? Or do you think this is one where, it's probably stalled for long enough now for you to start to think it's probably not going to happen?
At the moment, I think it's probably not going to happen. However, if we have a change of direction in the dugout in the summer, which I think is likely,
Yeah.
there's every chance that we could do it. Also, we've got to consider that if we qualify for Europe, he's almost essential, because we talk about homegrown. Club trained is another big thing. Of your 8 homegrown players in a Europa Conference League or Europa League or whatever competition you're in by UEFA, you have to have 4 club trained players and 4 homegrown players,
Yeah.
or 8 in total homegrown. 4 of those have to be coming from your youth system between the age of 15 and 21, I believe is the time, and after it's been there for at least 3 years. So we don't have anyone above the age of 21, bar Nathan Trott, who's most
Yeah.
likely going to leave this summer because his contract is up. Joseph Anang,
Yeah.
whose contract is up this summer as well. And also we've got Ben Johnson, who's 24. So we've got 3 players who are above the age. However, they potentially are all leaving. So we could go into, if we do qualify for European competition, with 0 club trained. I even think Hedgie may be turning 22, so would potentially qualify. However, he's probably going to go on loan rather than be a third choice goalkeeper
Yeah.
for a season to give us a homegrown. So all of a sudden, then we go in with a deficit into the season where, we can, even if we had a squad of 24 players, we technically have no club trained. So we can't register a squad of 24 in Europa League or Europa Conference because we don't have club trained, and we have to then drop that number by the number we're missing, which could be 4. So we may actually only be able to register 21 first team players.
Yeah.
The rest of that, the list, we can make up of obviously youth players that we can register on UEFA B. But again, it's the point of those players we'd register in UEFA B. Mubama is the only one who's seen any real minutes, and even those are limited.
Yeah.
So so then we're then relying on, say, Potts to step up and be part of that B group, and it's just this
Yeah.
is part of the running problem at West Ham in that, and I think it's something we've lost sight of in this pursuit of we need results, need results, need results. We've kind of lost our identity of what
Yeah.
was old West Ham. Now, some people will go, well, I prefer to be winning. That's fine. But if you want to win and be in these competitions, you also have to do your due diligence, such as develop your own, or at least have your own as part of your squad,
Yeah.
because it's an
Yeah.
important factor, a part of registration. And we haven't done that. And there's constant talks of they're not good enough, this and that, or this player left and they haven't done anything, which is essentially just saying, well, let's just punish everyone else coming through because it hasn't worked in the past. Like, that
Exactly.
argument is completely and utterly nonsensical.
I mean, we've
Because
also
it's
had good players come through because, I mean, the best player we've probably had in the Premier League came through the academy. So I agree. I think there needs to be that balance, right? There needs to be that balance between what we're trying to achieve on the pitch, whether it's through smart signings from European clubs or whatever. But you also have to build within your structure that you have. It's a key part of any philosophy. Man City do it really, really well. They're ones that are probably the prime example of getting that balance right at the moment with their academy prospects coming through. So it's definitely something we need to be careful of. I would be very disappointed if we let this Ben Johnson saga kind of fizzle out without getting him on a new contract, because there's more than just the ramifications of losing the player. And I think that's the most important thing here. It's a lot, it's a bigger deal than the surface suggests. So yeah, hopefully we do get it sorted. It'll be interesting to see if he does play on Thursday against Freiburg. And yeah, I mean, we'll keep you updated if there's any developments with the saga. Let us know in the comments. Would you look to be keeping Ben Johnson? Would you like to see him start on Thursday against Freiburg? Make sure to let us know in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel as always. And Mike, until next time,
come on, you
come on, you
irons.
irons.